For nearly a decade, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were not just a celebrity couple, they were a global phenomenon. Their relationship felt larger than life, combining two of the most powerful forces in modern pop culture. Kim represented mastery over media, branding, and reinvention, while Kanye embodied raw creativity, controversy, and artistic rebellion. Together, they dominated headlines, red carpets, and social media feeds across the world. Every appearance felt historic, every statement sparked debate, and every moment became part of a larger cultural conversation. But then, slowly and quietly, the attention began to fade. The couple who once defined an era stopped appearing together. The headlines changed tone. The admiration turned into confusion, concern, and eventually silence. To the public, it felt sudden. But in reality, their disappearance from the spotlight was the result of years of pressure, imbalance, emotional strain, and the unforgiving nature of fame itself. This is not just the story of a breakup. It is the story of what happens when love exists under a microscope, when personal struggles become public spectacle, and when even the most powerful couples discover that fame has limits. Before we continue, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because stories like this are more than gossip. They are reflections of the world we live in. The rise of a cultural power couple. When Kim Kardashian and Kanye West officially came together, it felt almost inevitable. Kim had already transformed herself from reality TV personality into one of the most recognizable women on the planet. She understood attention better than anyone, knowing how to control her image, adapt to criticism, and stay relevant in an industry that constantly replaces its stars. Kanye, on the other hand, was already considered one of the most influential artists of his generation. His music reshaped hip-hop, his fashion ambitions challenged luxury norms, and his personality refused to be ignored. When they united, it wasn't just a relationship, it was a merger of empires. Their wedding became a global event. Their fashion choices set trends. Their opinions influenced culture. The media labeled them a power couple, but even that phrase felt too small. They symbolized excess, ambition, and modern celebrity at its peak. During this phase, fame amplified their love, and love amplified their fame. The spotlight felt warm, flattering, and endless. Very few people questioned whether this level of attention was sustainable, because from the outside, it looked perfect. When fame becomes a daily burden. What most people fail to understand about fame is that it doesn't pause. For Kim and Kanye, life became a continuous performance. Every outing, every silence, every facial expression was analyzed, screenshot, and debated. Their marriage no longer belonged only to them. It belonged to millions of strangers who felt entitled to opinions and explanations. Kim thrived in structured visibility. She understood boundaries, contracts, and brand safety. Kanye, however, operated from emotion and impulse. He expressed thoughts as they came, without filters, often challenging societal norms and expectations. This contrast wasn't a problem at first. It even made them fascinating. But over time, it created imbalance. Kim carried the responsibility of stability, while Kanye carried the weight of expression. Fame magnified their differences. Disagreements couldn't stay private. Stress couldn't be hidden. Love had to survive not only between two people, but under the judgment of the entire world. Slowly, the spotlight stopped feeling like validation and started feeling like pressure. The cracks that couldn't be hidden anymore. As years passed, Kanye's public behavior became increasingly unpredictable. His interviews grew more controversial, his political statements shocked fans, and his social media presence sparked constant debate. Some defended him as a misunderstood genius, while others expressed concern for his mental health. The internet, however, rarely responds with patience. It responds with outrage, memes, and endless speculation. Kim found herself in an impossible position. She was not just a wife, she was a mother, a businesswoman, and a public figure responsible for maintaining stability. While Kanye spoke openly and emotionally, Kim chose silence. But silence in a public marriage is often interpreted as distance. The public began noticing the absence of shared appearances, the lack of joint statements, and the growing emotional gap. At this stage, their relationship wasn't breaking because of one argument or one scandal. It was breaking under the weight of constant exposure, where every struggle became amplified beyond repair. When mental health becomes a public debate, One of the most painful chapters in their story is how mental health became a topic of public consumption. Kanye openly discussed his struggles, but the world responded with judgment rather than empathy. Headlines reduced complex issues into clickbait. Conversations turned cruel. Kim was left navigating an emotional battlefield. Supporting her husband meant standing beside him during moments the world criticized. Protecting her children meant limiting chaos and unpredictability. Protecting her brand meant making difficult, often silent decisions. Love at this point became layered with responsibility, fear, and exhaustion. This was no longer a fairy tale relationship. It was a real marriage collapsing in real time, under the eyes of millions who would never experience the consequences themselves. The moment. Everything finally changed. There is rarely a single moment that ends a relationship like this. Instead, there is accumulation. Exhaustion stacked on exhaustion. The turning point came quietly when Kim Kardashian filed for divorce. There was no explosive announcement, no scandal-driven reveal. The simplicity of the filing said more than any dramatic statement could. The world reacted, but not with the shock it once would have. By then, the signs were clear. The distance had been visible. The separation felt inevitable. With the divorce, the Kimmy era officially ended, and with it, one of the most powerful celebrity narratives of modern times. After the divorce, two very different paths. Following the separation, Kim and Kanye moved in opposite directions. Kim leaned into control, structure, and reinvention. She focused on motherhood, business ventures, legal studies, and carefully curated public appearances. She reduced chaos and increased predictability. Kanye, on the other hand, rejected containment. He continued expressing himself freely, often controversially, challenging institutions, industries, and audiences. This resistance to control further distanced him from mainstream platforms and brands. Without the relationship tying their narratives together, public interest shifted. They were no longer a couple to analyze. They were individuals, each facing the consequences of fame differently. Why they truly disappeared from the spotlight. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. The spotlight moved on. Pop culture thrives on novelty. It consumes stories quickly and replaces them even faster. Once Kim and Kanye stopped providing a unified narrative, the media found new obsessions. They didn't disappear because they failed. They disappeared because fame is temporary, attention is ruthless, and relevance must constantly be renewed. In stepping away from the center of attention, intentionally or not, they lost the couple-based fascination that once defined them. The deeper lesson behind their story. This story is not about blaming either person. It is about understanding the cost of living publicly. Fame doesn't create problems, it exposes them. It accelerates conflicts, magnifies flaws, and removes privacy. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West didn't lose each other because they lacked love. They lost each other because love struggled to survive under endless observation. Their disappearance from the spotlight wasn't a failure. In many ways, it was a survival instinct. Once, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West ruled pop culture without competition. Today, they exist separately, quieter and more guarded. And maybe that's the ending no one expected, but one that makes the most sense. Because sometimes, stepping away from the spotlight isn't about losing relevance. It's about choosing peace over performance. If this story changed the way you see celebrity relationships, fame, or power couples, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. Do you believe fame destroys relationships, or does it simply reveal the truth? See you in the next story.